So we're learning how to solve problems and how to translate word problems into a mathematical sentence. Or in other words, how to translate word problems into an equation or an inequality. So there's multiple steps that we're going to be utilizing here. And there are, in fact, 9 steps that we're actually going to be taking to do this. So the first one, and probably one that you think about, well, duh, of course this has to be right, is to read the problem. If you don't read the problem, you can't do anything with it. So the first step in translating a word problem to a mathematical sentence is to read the problem. The second step is to read it again. So the first time you read it, just kind of think about it. The second time you read it, you want to note important variables and numbers. You want to note important variables and numbers. Your third step is to name those variables. Your fourth step is to identify the units that apply to the variables. What they're talking about here is it talking about money? Is it talking about pounds? And doing those things can help you group stuff together. Number 5 is to check for reasonableness. Does what you're saying make sense? Step 6 is to write it as one sentence. So you've gotten all your information together, now we're writing it as an equation. Number 7 is to identify the operator. When they talk about the operator, they're asking, do we need to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? So we're identifying the operator. Step 8 is to write the variable expression. And step 9 is to write the mathematical sentence. This seems like a lot of steps just to get to writing an equation. But in reality, when you think about what you're doing, you're not really taking 2 or 3 minutes on each one of these. You're just taking about 10 seconds on each one. And so that's not really that much time. So we want to go ahead and look down at the next part, which is the 4 problem-solving steps. So these 4 steps, I'm going to equate them to baking a cake. As weird as that sounds, I promise it will make sense. So our first step is to understand the problem. This would be similar to reading the recipe. Because before you bake something, the first thing you're going to do is read the recipe. And if that's all you're doing, you're not doing any work, you're not getting anything out, you're literally just thinking about stuff. That's all you're doing in this step, is you're thinking. You're reading, you're thinking, you're understanding. You're not doing any work. Your second step would be to gather your resources. Well, when you're baking a cake, when you're gathering your resources, you're getting out all the ingredients. And the measuring cups. So that when you actually start with your mixing everything together, it's all ready to go. Well, what that relates to as far as writing or solving a problem, when you're gathering your resources, you're writing things down. You're drawing pictures. You're doing anything, you're not actually solving yet. You're not mixing anything together. You're literally just writing down, you're collecting all the information that you have. For the third step, this is where you're coming to an answer. So what this means at this point is that you have put the cake in the oven. You are baking the cake. You've tasted the mixture. It tastes pretty good. You've got an answer. So you have, in this point, solved the problem. But you're not quite done, because when you bake something, yeah, you taste it beforehand, but you want to finish it you want to taste it again when it's out of the oven. You want to make sure that it looks good. So the fourth step is to check your answer. And present the solution. What this means is that you're taste testing it again after it's done. And you're adding the icing and doing all that fancy stuff to make it look good. So what does that mean in terms of math? That means you're rechecking your work. You're rechecking your answer. And you're going to add units. You're putting those final touches on it to make sure that it's the right answer. We're not actually going to go through the rest of the notes, so this is all you need to know, and there is no checkup for this assignment.